you were listening to Mind Shift. And Dad, it's been a few weeks. We've both been traveling. We've been all over. You've had an exciting little getaway adventure.
It's been
Welcome
long
back.
enough where I actually thought you were going to say, welcome to the Battle Ready podcast.
I honestly almost did. It's been so long. We regressed. We went back.
Yep. And so for everyone who joins us and waits for a podcast every week, thanks so much for being patient. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
We're back. I locked in some guests for the next few weeks, which would be exciting. And, we were just in Vegas yesterday doing Ryan Pineda's podcast and part of is it the Wealthy Way community?
Yeah, I also did a podcast with a guy named Sean Kelly. And that was a really fascinating podcast.
Is it the one I wasn't there for?
That was the first one. It was over at the Wynn Hotel.
Okay.
And over at, I think it was the Blue Wynn studio. It's pretty amazing.
Okay.
And I noticed that Sean has like 10 million followers on Instagram.
That's crazy.
And
what does he do? What's his name? Sean what?
Sean Kelly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sean, but it's spelled like S-I-A-N, right?
No, it's S-E-A-N, I think.
Is it? Okay. So how was that?
It was amazing. We had just a really great conversation. Really sharp guy.
Sean Kelly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he said he did a lot of work in NFTs and I think crypto and
cool.
Google. And what I was really impressed about, not only just that we have a very easy conversation, but right afterwards, one of his team guy goes, hey, what is the area that you guys focus on the most? Because we really want to help you guys. And Sean's really committed to mutual benefit and helping other people. And I just love that was just a part of the culture right away.
It really is interesting because I'm like getting us prepared for this conference that we have a few hundred people coming to the arena live in Los Angeles, October 6th and 7th, with a crazy lineup. Lewis Howe, John Gordon, Jamie Kern Lima, Jerry
Phil
Lorenzo,
Jones and Todd Herman.
Yeah, we have a crazy lineup. It's amazing. And people have been calling in being like hitting us up, being like, how do you have better lineups than 90% of these summits? And we just, and then it's these guys, everyone helps each other out. Everyone wants to do each other's events. Everyone is trying to make themselves available to be a part of something, which I think is really cool. Coming from the church side where like the conference stuff is like, it's crazy and way too elaborate and too much. And, I'm like, man, doing a business conference is like the easiest thing I've ever done. It was like a 2-hour meeting and we're good. And,
it's amazing.
And now having people come in and it's going to be really exciting. This one will be the most simple, I think, in a cool way. It'll be very, very streamlined, but great content, which I'm really excited about. So,
I'm really excited. We already have several hundred people who've signed up.
Yeah.
So we're, I'm really excited to meet the people in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. To see the kind of people that choose to come to this kind of event. And
are the guys in the mastermind coming?
Several of them. Yeah, are. Cool. And, even Ryan goes, Ryan Pineda's going, I'm speaking at a conference, but I'm going to try to get on a plane and fly over there and be at the event. And, and I just think that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's so cool. Vegas is weird. I don't know if I like Vegas. I like Ryan.
I like the people that I meet.
Yeah.
I am not a big Vegas fan.
No.
I was at the Wynn Hotel and I guess I really wasn't at the Wynn Hotel because they put me in the Encore Hotel, which is a part of the Wynn Hotel. So I had to walk
everything's just confusing.
Oh my gosh. I think I walked through casinos for 20 minutes trying to
get out
where my room was. And and then it's just too many people. And then in the morning I was trying to get out and I felt claustrophobic.
Yeah, we hate Vegas. We hate Vegas. You could keep your taxes, but we hate it. Yeah. But anyways, we're back in LA and we're getting onto this pod. And this is exciting. Your book comes out in a few weeks. You got to be excited. Do we have a hardback copy yet?
No, but the actual books shipped to me today.
From the publisher?
From the publisher.
Okay.
And so I'll get them the next day or two. So I get to hold the book in my hand and we may even do some really cool giveaways.
Amazing.
Because I'll have a handful of books available ahead of time
at the conference,
and we'll have them here. But by the conference, they'll be out.
It's that week.
Available everywhere.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I am super excited, and the feedback from there's always people that read the book ahead of time. Yeah, you give them galleys, and the feedback on the book has just been extraordinary.
Amazing.
So I cannot wait to watch the impact on people's lives.
It's so exciting. It really is exciting. I cannot wait, man. It's gonna be very cool.
You've been reading it.
I've been reading it. I've been reading it through a second or fifth time. I don't count the early reads because I don't know if it's like the same book. But I really think this book didn't change too much. You just continue to add and take away. But I'm excited. I read it on the train from Paris back to London, and I read it on the plane yesterday. I only flew in to Vegas for the day, and I only took the book. And I literally was like, don't let me die on this little plane. Don't let me die on this little plane before this book comes out. And no, it's good to be back in LA. Okay, so we've been doing the arena. We've done 3 sessions so far, and we do them on Mondays at 10 a.m. And the first week we started the arena, I had COVID. I think I had COVID. I was sick as a dog for 2 weeks.
Then I guess I had COVID the second week.
And then you had COVID the second week. So we launched it, I had COVID, then you had COVID, and then now we're getting in our groove, and we got, I think, like 150 members.
I love that community.
I do
just
too.
So much fun. It's one of those places where I can have conversations that I love having, but you don't always have a context to have that conversation. And because like one of the things I do is I work as a the mindset performance expert for the USFL and the football league, and in there I had the conversation about overthinking, and I realized that was a huge obstacle for the top players.
Yeah, you did a call with all the quarterbacks?
All the players, but the quarterback and the receiver are two asking about overthinking the most.
Interesting. And
then I asked Sean McVay when I had a chance to meet with him later in the week in our sessions, hey, I noticed that the USFL overthinking was a real issue. Is that a USFL issue or is that an NFL issue? And he said, no, it's overthinking is one of the biggest issues we deal with at the highest level.
Yeah.
And then I moved on from the conversation, and he goes, well, what did you tell them?
Yeah.
And I realized I was really interested in this conversation about overthinking. And then I just started paying attention, realizing it's the same thing in the business sector. It's the same thing with entrepreneurs. It's the same thing with pastors. It's the same thing with humans on relational levels. Overthinking is like a quicksand.
Yeah.
Where you feel like you're fighting for your life, but you're going nowhere but down.
I'm a victim. I'm a victim to my own villain, which is me. But I overthink all the time. Like I feel like in my relationships, one of the biggest maybe deterrents in relationships for me is that I overthink and I think too much. And we were on the drive yesterday, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm just trying to, from my perspective, I feel like I'm just trying to share my feelings and how something is making me feel. But from the other perspective, she's like, you're overthinking so much. You're becoming, it's insecure, it's questioning, it's investigative. And I'm like, no, I'm from my perspective, I'm trying to do my best, and I'm overthinking everything, every possible scenario, and it's making it worse. So how do you quietly overthink?
Okay, I'm going to push back on something you said.
Well, you called me soft, so we could start there. We're in the car, and we're in Vegas. And
that's because Ryan Pineda loves calling his team soft.
Well, no,
But I brought it up. I said something about people being soft.
On the podcast,
I love this.
in the podcast,
on his
right?
podcast.
Yeah.
No, you said you overthink by thinking through every possible scenario.
Yes.
And here I'm going to show you how that isn't actually what happens. Overthinking is the endless running of negative scenarios.
Overthinking is the endless running of negative scenarios. Okay.
So,
for all you all my toxic lovers out there.
So here's the thing.
You overthinking addicts.
Overthinking isn't thinking through every possible scenario.
Okay.
Because you never overthink positive scenarios. So you're never drowning in, she's going to love me too much.
Right. Well,
she's going to be too faithful. She's going to be too kind. You never overthink, my company's going to make too much money. I'm going to be too successful. I'm going to throw too many touchdowns. You never overthink about positive scenarios. You only overthink through negative scenarios.
Okay. Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I think overthinking is the death of trust and security and feeling confident in something. And and murkiness and like things that are not necessarily defined or relationships that aren't defined, that's where I find myself overthinking the most.
Mm-hmm.
Do I do this? Do I not do this? Is this how we operate or is this not how we operate?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how I get to those places, but overthinking feels like I just took, I don't know, like a bucket of LSD and, went on some Willy Wonka ride of like, hey, this is where my mind goes, help me understand what we're doing here.
Overthinking is the consequence of trying to have too much control.
Right. And I think the moments where I'm trying to have too much control, it's not even control of the other person. It's control of like, I can't control the world right now.
You can't control the possible negative
outcomes.
Okay. And so you start overthinking them because you think somehow if you think about them enough, you'll be able to control them.
Okay. That's helpful.
And it so creates an illusion of control.
So can I ask it, like, does caring less actually help you?
No.
Because if I don't care about something or someone, I don't know anything at all.
It doesn't help you. It just makes that situation irrelevant to you.
Okay.
And so it doesn't actually help you because you still haven't solved the problem when you do care.
Well, no, even like Ghost Artifacts, the collection, it's like way too much overthinking.
Yeah.
Given, and there's been some like whole, like little things that we had to adjust and getting the details right. But like so much overthinking goes into something. And then we made, we were working on that for a year. Mm-hmm. And then I made, like half a dozen designs for the arena in 1 week. And then we got the merch done and like, it's done. It's like ready to go.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how come I didn't overthink that, but I overthink the heck out of the other thing?
And I think it's because overthinking is when you put too much weight on what other people will think about what you've done.
It's interesting to me.
And when you focus on one thing, is this the expression of who I am or what I want to represent me? It's much simpler. It really reduces the options.
Right.
And makes things less complicated, And ironically, like a lot of people I meet that are super successful in business, if I could say this, they're actually like more, and I don't mean this in a negative way, more simple-minded people. They do not overthink. They just go, opportunity, yes. And they move.
It's very binary in that. It's functional thinking.
They're not overthinking it. They go, could I fail? Yeah.
Probably.
They just keep going. And I think, I don't know if this is still accurate, but it used to be that you could not be a pilot if your IQ was over 130. Because you would be more likely to crash a plane because you would overthink things in a crisis.
And they need reactionary or
They need people who trust the process, who believe in what they've been taught, the skills, the craft.
Would that be more instinctual thinking?
No, it's actually not about instinct. It's just about trusting the method, the process, And overthinking is, but if I do this, this could happen. If I do this, this could happen. And if I do this, this could happen. And the plane is crashing because you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Rather than, I trust my training. When this happens, I'm supposed to do this. I'm going to do this. When this happens, this is the response. Okay. And you trust the training. And I think it's even true in everyday applications in life.
Yeah.
And so our last arena session, we spent an hour talking about overthinking. I think it was one of the best sessions we've had. But I also think that it's probably a topic that's really valuable for everyone.
Right.
If you first of all begin to realize, you're only trapped in overthinking when you're focused on negative scenarios. And this is one of the things I think is real important, is that you never fall into positive scenarios. You have to move into positive scenarios.
Okay.
You only fall into negative scenarios. You only slip into negative scenarios. And so when you're not in control of your inner world, of your thinking, when you're in a sense being a passive recipient of the inner story, you move toward negative scenarios. Okay. You have to choose positive scenarios.
Okay.
You have to move toward them.
Okay.
And it's So if you just think in terms of the gravitational pull of your inner world, gravity is always going to pull you to negative scenarios.
Okay.
You have to choose to elevate to positive scenarios.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, just real quickly,
Sure.
I think the best solution to overthinking is action.
Okay. Just give me an example.
Yeah. Let's say you're overthinking a jacket you're making.
Okay.
And you keep going back and changing this and changing that and changing this and changing that.
I have a hard time committing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm like, okay, no, well, I could add this pocket. Oh, wait, I could add the zipper. Oh, wait, I could add this line.
Yeah.
So I'm almost, sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Solution is I'm choosing this zipper, and then you're not allowed to change your mind. The jacket is this long, and then you can't change your mind. This is the fabric, and you can't change your mind.
Okay.
And so that you actually destroy overthinking through action.
Okay.
And
decisiveness.
It's decisiveness. Yeah, you act, and then you keep moving forward. And at the end, you may go, yeah, but in the end, I may have a jacket I don't like.
Right.
You go, yes, but you've actually finished something. So now you know, actually, in a more concrete way, how to make the jacket you do like.
Okay.
You don't even know until you fail or succeed.
I think so oftentimes I get lost in the process.
Yeah, because the process can't be measured as success or failure. So the process is a safe place to hide. And so you have to love the process when it produces the outcome. You don't want to get lost in the process to avoid the outcome.
Okay. Feeling this is targeted.
No, okay. It's not targeted. It's just it's just true.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
what?
Now I'm overthinking. How do you come back? How do you come back from bad moments in that way? Because I think, I overthink, and then it tends to get me in trouble and slows me up. And I want everything to move really slow. And what I found is that when we have a plan and then we change that plan, we were having the meeting before you got in about how to work together better and how to communicate at a higher level. And what I realized is I'm actually the polar opposite of you. I really need a routine. It keeps me healthy mentally. It keeps me healthy in my day-to-day. The moment we start changing all the variables and everything, I start slipping. My mental health kind of goes. I'm not as resilient because I think everything is always in flux. There's never, I think it's not one thing. You're not the one variable. Everything is always moving. There's no consistency in our life when it comes to the day-to-day, I know that I have a job, and then if I don't show up, I might not have a job next week because there's no money coming in or whatever we're doing. But when it comes to how to not overthink when there's no consistency, it becomes really hard because I'm always having to they talk about, reduce the amount of creative decisions you have to make in the morning, like what you're going to wear, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drive, how you're going to get there, because that consistency helps you save your creative decisions for work, right? Every creative decision you're having to make before you actually get into the office is actually eating at the decisions you're able to make throughout the day. I feel like we're having to make 5,000 decisions before I even wake up, and a part of that ends up like fueling the desire for some kind of control. And then I'm just left with a lack of control. And then I try to control the other things in my life by going, okay, I can control when I work out, I can control when I eat, I can control when I see certain people. And then I end up just disastrous, right? But then when it comes to leading an organization or leading a company, how do you help? Is it better to create like windows and zones of like, this is when we're always doing this? Because that's not really how you operate. So how do you flow? How do you find a flow state? Going back 2 weeks to the arena conversation, flow state. Like really, how do you have an organizational flow state or a team flow state or relational flow state where you're like, this is how we like ebb and flow?
Yeah, I do think that there's an aspect where redundancy is your friend. If you can make redundant the things that you do all the time, life gets easier. Like we talked about, one of the challenges we have with the podcast is that we don't have a sacred space in that sense.
Yeah,
we do not have a space that always belongs to us as My Shift Podcast. We don't have our own equipment. And so we're borrowing equipment all the time.
Right.
We're setting up and breaking down all the time. And so everything that we know is redundant, we're having to do like, it's the first time every single week, over and over again. And then sometimes we have to move locations, so then we have to hope everything moves with us. You know, we have to hope that Austin didn't, you know, overlook a wire or you know,
or it becomes complicated.
Yeah, you know, so even with this table, we get here and the table's the wrong height.
We look like little people.
And so
it's like the table was like here, and I was like, guys, I'm not gonna, you know.
And so one of the things that actually makes life easier is if you can solve the problem of redundancy. How do you make things redundant so that you can actually focus on what needs to be creative? But every week for us, everything is problem solving. And so it's more exhausting for Austin, even who, you know, is working with us, because like, you know, he's our behind the scenes technical guy. He's everything, you know, he's a director, cinematographer, lighting, camera, sound, you know, and so that means that every week, what could be redundant actually is a first time go. And in life, the way that you actually, I think, move toward excelling is moving as many things as possible to redundancy so that you can actually focus creativity on the product you're trying to develop.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I historically, because I'm a person, I love to be adaptive. I love innovation. I love creativity. I love spontaneity. You know, I thrive in chaotic environments. You know, that's a part of the way I'm designed.
Yeah.
But I also realize that everyone is going to feel like they're in a tornado if I don't allow them to create redundancy.
So do you feel that oftentimes you create chaos, even just like in scheduling chaos, just because it's like it is thrilling for you? Do you create unnecessary? Do you feel like you create unnecessary chaos?
I do not believe I create unnecessary chaos.
Okay.
Because I do not create chaos for entertainment purposes.
Right.
I create chaos as a direct result of intention.
Okay.
And so when I see an opportunity that can be seized, I move toward it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't protect stability very well.
No.
You know, and probably I should do better at protecting stability.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it, and maybe it's, I was going to say it's a stage of my life, but I've been like this all my life.
It really is.
And I pursue opportunity as if it was the last opportunity that's ever going to come.
Yeah.
And
I'm playing baseball. I let most pitches slide.
What?
I play baseball. You play basketball. You shoot every shot. I play baseball. I'm like, didn't want to swing. Didn't feel like swinging.
But well, it's an interesting metaphor because I do think some people prefer baseball because they know where the bases are. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very, very clear system. You from first to second to third, then home. And I kind of prefer soccer or basketball. Yeah. Where you have boundaries.
You have constant variables.
But other than that, everything's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And the only real measure is whether you score.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think you definitely need both. You need the people who are willing to go and hunt everything down and go and chase down every opportunity. People who go, okay, look, my opportunity is compacting consistency.
Yeah.
You know, forever in my life, I've been caught between you and every chaos and consistency, you and my mother, or you and the rest of everything else, you know?
No, and I know that there is a real liability in working in the universe of someone like me, but there's also massive benefit, you know, and so you have to decide which dark side you want in life. You know, do you want massive stability and predictability and continuity without innovation, creativity, spontaneity, or are you willing to relinquish some of the security and predictability and continuity for the new, for pioneer, for being an entrepreneur, for being a creative?
Yeah.
I don't consider one right or wrong. I just think that they're just different realities.
Yeah. Yeah, we talk about that because we're kind of caught between like wanting to always do really creative, beautiful unique projects that cost a lot of money and, you know, sometimes break even, sometimes make a little bit of money, sometimes lose money. And in the like understanding that to be very wealthy, to build legacy, to build like great wealth, you have to do really boring projects.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, that, you know, essentially like wealth is boring.
But yeah, building wealth is usually boring.
You usually pick something fairly boring, you know, and you just do it.
Yeah.
And you do it for a long time, and you do it better and better and better. And
more efficiently and less overhead and
Yeah, and that's really
and scale and then, yeah.
And it's not really my primary design.
No.
And
yeah,
I love innovating and creating and experimenting and yeah, you know, it's just a reality of who I am as a person.
Yeah, but there's something to that too that's really unique in that you are an artist and a businessman, and that you know there is that lane, right, of like we do creative launches and do project launches, and that project may not last forever.
Yeah.
But we are consistently developing new ideas and constantly refining the things that we're working on. Like the last year of building Ghost Artifacts helped me make really quick decisions with the arena merch for the conference. It helped me understand the process, know what I needed, what I didn't need, know what would work and what wouldn't, and then really helped me go, I can make this decision, because we've tried different vendors, we've worked on different projects, we've done over dye, we've done screen print, so I do think the building of one project really helped influence the quickness in another.
Yeah.
You know?
And I actually do think that confidence comes from repetition.
Yes.
Like confidence comes from practice.
Right.
And, you know, so when you do something over and over and over again, you may be insecure at first.
Right.
But when you do it the second time, you have a little bit more confidence. And the third time, you have more confidence. When you've done it 10 or 20 or 30 times, you gain incredible confidence because you've done this before.
Yeah.
The repetition actually builds confidence.
Yeah.
And arrogance is when you have confidence without repetition, in a sense, without the skill development, without the discipline.
Yeah.
And you know, so I think part of the reason, I mean, by the way, I love the arena merch. I think it's really, really cool. And
we're getting there.
It's going to be really beautiful. And you're able to design that really quickly. But that's because you've been designing for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, for the last few years, for sure. And last 10 years, for sure. But even we were talking about that. I was like, how can Ghost Artifacts take so long? And we did all this merch, and like we did 6 different hats in like 2 days. Like it was just so easy there. And then you know, and now they kind of, the revelation is that, you know, it's why can you pop up on a stage and speak for 5 to 50 minutes with no preparation? It's because you spent the last 30 years doing it with a lot of preparation.
Yeah. And also, the arena is merch.
Yeah.
And Ghost Artifacts is fashion.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, it's like a statement, and it just costs so much more money. To create Ghost Artifacts. Yeah. You know, and so of course you're going to be more terrified.
Of course.
you know, in the process. But just going back, kind of like tying some pieces together here. One, I think that you overthink in some ways because there's an uncertainty of your ability to move toward a positive scenario.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And random thing. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had a nightmare. I was at the next season's Clippers opener.
Oh, you just said Clippers. This is a nightmare.
And Kawhi came in for a layup. He hits the ground and he hurts his leg. But not only does he hurt his leg, his whole leg from his knee down was gone. It just flung off and flew away. But there was no blood.
The leg just flew away?
The leg just flew away. And so all he has is the nub, the knee. It's like, my leg. And I'm like, I don't want to see this. And I realized there's no blood. Wait a minute. Was he really bionic?
You really do love your Clippers so much. I hate basketball now.
But I think a part of it is like my nightmare was really from 20 years of disappointment.
It's very true.
Right? You know, and so my dream was actually a negative scenario.
Yeah.
And, you know, you rarely have nightmares about positive scenarios.
Right.
In fact, you never have nightmares about positive
that's why
scenarios.
It's a nightmare, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so if you think about daydreaming, you know, overthinking is a day nightmare.
Okay.
because you're just going through every scenario of everything can go wrong. And one of the things that I just encourage people to do is when you find yourself overthinking, the moment you're aware of it, force yourself to create a positive scenario.
Okay.
Here's how it could go well.
Okay.
Here's the amazing thing that could happen.
Okay.
And a lot of my one-on-one coaching is usually, I find a lot of it is helping a person move from negative scenarios to positive choices. And because the negative scenario actually paralyzes you from making the positive choice.
Okay. How do you parachute out of a bad scenario? Because one thing, like I've definitely like, okay, I've overthought. And then I get to the end of the runway and I'm like, oh, this is either like, I can't make this better now. I've overthought us into like a hurricane.
Yeah.
Or overthought a situation to the point where it's like, oh no, we're so far gone. This doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. I love your image. How do you parachute out?
How do you parachute out of overthinking?
You don't parachute out. You have to climb out.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you have to, this is a hard thing. You have to make painful choices.
Like?
Whatever choice is different than the choices you have been making to keep you in the negative scenarios.
Okay.
If you keep, I don't know what it is about us. We will choose the exact same choice 20 times and think one of those 20 will give us a different outcome.
Yeah.
When if it's the same choice, you're going to have the same scenario.
Sure.
You know, like if I choose to eat pizza every day, but I'm saying, but I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to have the same outcome every time because I've made the same choice every time. I have to make a different choice to create the momentum for a different outcome.
Yes, what I'm saying is I'm choosing salad, but I'm overthinking and turning it into pizza. Just to alter the metaphor. It was never pizza. I've turned it into pizza with my overthinking.
Yes.
Right? It was something positive and I've turned it into something negative. So how do I, it's so much easier to turn something negative than it is to turn it positive.
Is it possible because you do not believe that you deserve a positive outcome?
Maybe. Yeah, self-sabotage is a thing, but why is it so much easier to get into the negative than it is to get into the positive? Like you can make something bad in 2 seconds, but it takes a lifetime to make something good.
That's so true. And one of the things I've just recently talked to someone is, if you look at human beings just as a product, we're like factory defects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because negative emotions stick with us, positive emotions slip right through.
It's interesting, right?
And negative energy stays with us. Positive energy disappears fast. Negative scenarios, they stay with us. They'll drown us. Positive scenarios disappear the moment you stop focusing on them. And so what we have to realize is that there's some sense our internal world is almost designed as a factory defect.
Okay.
It's a part of the human brokenness.
Okay.
And you cannot accidentally move toward your best life.
Okay.
You can only move toward it on purpose.
That's really good. You have to be purposeful about the steps you're taking to move towards positivity into a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. And so the best thing to do every day is to go, I can't fix everything. I really have such limited control over the future.
Yeah.
There's so many factors I can't even see. So what I can do today is make the right choices today and trust that making the right choices right in front of me will create the momentum for the right life and the future I really want.
That's really good.
And it's hard to do that. It's hard to trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to have confidence in something that you overthink.
Yeah.
That is really hard.
Yeah. And, and just, I think all of us can actually feel exhausted from choosing. I think sometimes we just want good life to happen to us. Mm-hmm. It's like, can somebody just leverage everything back in my direction so good things just happen naturally. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it works like that. I think it actually works where what you need to take stewardship of is the decisions that make you the best human being you can become. And when you make choices that are focused on who you are as a person, the outcomes are the ones that you long for, and they begin to happen. And that's why I said, don't put your identity and your purpose in outcomes. Put your identity and purpose in personhood, in essence. And one of the things I broke down the other day, I think it might have been with Ryan Pineda was.
It was yesterday. Yeah, I took these notes. Yeah.
I said, look, you can focus on outcomes or process or essence. And a lot of people focus on outcomes. I want to be rich, or I want to own a house, or I want to have a plane, or I want whatever. And because you're focused on outcomes, you ignore process and essence. Some people who upgrade focus on process. And they go, I believe in the process, and if I commit to the right process, I'm going to get the outcomes. And I won't always get the outcomes. Like you can be committed to the right process, let's say as a football coach.
Okay.
And still not win the Super Bowl. Because only one team wins the Super Bowl. There wasn't only one team that was committed to the right process. There might have been 15 teams that really were profoundly committed to the right process. The outcome is just very limited. But before you focus just on process, you need to focus on essence, on who you are becoming as a human being. What kind of human being do you want to do? What kind of values do you have? What shapes your character? What is the brand of who you really are? And to me, whenever you begin with essence and then you move to process, outcomes happen in the most optimal and exciting way possible.
Yeah.
And even when you don't get the outcome you wanted, you don't get the championship, you still have a deep sense of fulfillment because you know that you were true to your essence, you're committed to the process, and you let the outcomes come as they come.
I love that. I think we've been going for 40 minutes or so. Yeah, I love this. I love this conversation. I think it's incredible.
We'll pick up some more. And I'm so excited about what we're going to be doing with Mindshift in the weeks and months to come.
Yes.
And I don't want people to forget, my new book, Mindshift, is coming out.
October 3rd.
Yeah. You don't have to be a genius to think like one. And
you just got to read the book.
It's going to be a mind-shifting experience. These really small, granular, concrete shifts that will open up your future.
I love it. Yeah, I'm excited. I've read the book multiple times. I can't wait for this to come out to the world.
And we have the Arena Conference here in LA, here at Mosaic in Hollywood.
October 6th and 7th.
October 6th and 7th. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this podcast, thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in and being a part of our community, a part of our tribe. If you are looking to dive in deeper, check out the YouTube, earlmcmanus.com/YouTube. Subscribe, rate and review everything. Comments, let us know you're listening. And there's so much free content on there. It's the best. And we will hopefully be back next week. So I cannot wait.
All right,
see you guys soon.